Good morning. Here I am again at the center of the Bodhi mandala, underneath the Bodhi tree. I'm happy to be here. There are good vibes this morning. Today I'm going to keep reading The Art of Living. This chapter is called The Power of Insight. It's just about 2 pages. It's got a nice little message. After that reading, I'm just going to sit and breathe. I'm not going to say anything. And I invite you to join me. Our method will be mindfulness of the breath. Again, breathing in, we'll know that we are breathing in, and breathing out, we'll know that we're breathing out. Good morning. This is like weightlifting for mindfulness muscles. We're practicing when times are good, so that when times are rough, we have a refuge. It's like conditioning. Wonderful. Conditioning ourselves to find pleasure in the breath. Good morning. As long as we practice and establish this routine, we'll have something to return to when times are tough. As long as we live, we'll have the breath. So it's a good thing to become familiar with. It's a good thing to train ourselves in order to find pleasure in breathing. Good morning. I've also heard some good advice from various Buddhist teachers. I see it a lot in the Mahamudra meditation, that we should only practice as long as it takes to achieve a stable tranquility and insight. We don't need to push ourselves too hard. In the end, we want to come out of meditation in a good spot, where we leave it having a good vibe about the meditation so that we're more likely to return. We don't need to push ourselves too hard, but on the other hand, we do got to do something. We got to strive on a little bit somehow, but maybe the striving on includes being sure that we have a good association with meditation. It's like Pavlov's dogs. We're conditioning ourselves. It may sound mechanical, like I'm making meditation mechanical, but this is just the way the dualistic mind works. This brain, body, that's how it works. This is called the power of insight. We may agree with the truth of impermanence, and yet we still behave as though everything is permanent. And that is the problem. This is what prevents us from taking the opportunities available to us right now to act, to change a situation. My tablet might die. Or to bring happiness to ourselves and others. With the insight of impermanence, you won't wait. You'll do everything you can to make a difference, to make the person you love happy, and to live the kind of life you would like to live. So here, he's talking about urgency. How if we truly understand what impermanence is, there will be a sense of urgency. Our love will go deeper. We'll want to be sure that we're conveying our feelings to our loved ones, because we know that all conditioned, constructed, all things are impermanent. In Pali, this word for urgency is sangha. With urgency alone, we run the risk of encountering nihilistic despair. It's like, oh, everything is gonna fall apart, everything is gonna die. What can balance this? How do we address this urgency? In the texts, we hear that we balance this sense of urgency with a sense of serene faith or serene confidence. Without confidence in the teaching of the Dharma, this urgency will turn into nihilistic despair. But how do we cultivate a sense of serene faith? It's not simply just believing what somebody has told us. That's only a superficial faith. It's a good start. We gotta start somewhere. From the darkness of ignorance, we hear a teaching, and then we implement the teaching, and we see for ourselves, does this work? Does this produce a serenity? This is Buddhist faith. It isn't just believing what someone has told us. The Buddha offered the contemplation on impermanence not for us to treasure a notion, but for us to get the insight of impermanence by applying it to our daily life. There's a difference between a notion and an insight. I use two words. Know, the K-N-O is a notion. G-N-O is an insight. Say we strike a match to get a flame. As soon as the flame manifests, it begins to consume the match. The notion of impermanence is like the match. So this is the dualistic idea, the notion of impermanence. And the insight of impermanence is like the flame, which consumes the match. So at first there's a notion. We hear about a teaching. Then we implement the teaching. The flame burns the notion. Then we have insight. As the flame manifests, it consumes the match, which we don't need anymore. What we need is the flame, not the match. We're making use of the notion of impermanence to get the insight of impermanence. We can make the insight of impermanence into a living insight that is with us in every moment. The insight of impermanence has the power to liberate us. Suppose someone you love has just said something that has made you angry, and you want to punish them by saying something unkind back. He has dared to make you suffer, and you want to lash back and make him suffer too. You're about to start an argument. But then you remember to close your eyes and contemplate impermanence. You imagine your beloved 300 years from now. He will be nothing but ash. It may not take 300 years. Perhaps within 30 or 50 years, you will both be ash. You suddenly realize how foolish it is to be angry and to argue with each other. Life is so precious. It only takes a few seconds of concentration to realize and touch your nature of impermanence. The insight of impermanence burns away the anger. And when you open your eyes, you don't want to argue anymore. You just want to hold him in your arms. Your anger has transformed into love. That's all we're going to read now. So the notion of impermanence gives rise to the insight of impermanence. Living with the insight of impermanence, we let go of the petty, superficial things, the anger that arises from a disagreement. We realize how precious this moment is, how precious our relationships are. So now, breathing in, I'll know I'm breathing in. And I invite you to do the same until my tablet dies. Or you can do it as long as you want. But I'll only be here as long as my tablet lives. impermanence. So while we have this opportunity, let's make good use of it. Breathing in, I know I'm breathing in. And breathing out, I know I'm breathing out. Breathing in, I hear sounds. Breathing out, I watch them disappear. They are. morning from this place of the Buddha.